Okay, hello and welcome to another episode of our Mental Health Awareness Week. And this week we're talking all about why mental health is so important for our pets. We talk about it a little bit for people and pet parents as well. But today we wanted to focus on cats, a little bit more specifically indoor cats. So, of course, who did we call the two crazy cat ladies, Jay and Adrian? So, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank
Dr.
you so
Judy's
much
very
for
sad to miss
having
you.
Oh, we miss you. Yeah, we miss you.
And so we wanted to first start off by just talking a little about your personal experience with cat mental health. And you had mentioned that one of your cats that you recently rescued, you contacted a behaviorist to get some assistance. So which kitty was that, and why did you feel the need to contact somebody else for help?
Right? Okay. We felt kind of weird because we were like, seriously, we're taking all the tips that we have ever offered anyone, and it's still not really working in our home. But what do we tell everyone is one of the most underutilized resources that we have as cat parents are cat behaviorists. And we know some, and we need to reach out. And so yeah, we had to, and we had a couple of our cats that were really fighting with each other. They were, it was one of our newest kitties, or our newest kitty. She's been with us for a year now. And the oldest female, so youngest female, oldest female. And we were like, they're trying to show dominance. I don't know. Let's, What's odd and what some other cat parents may relate to is that we went through the whole introduction process, right? We really took all those steps very slowly at everyone's different paces, you know what I mean? And waited. We did the full introduction. The full introduction went great. There was a lot of playing going on. There was a lot of activity and curiosity and awesome stuff, right? And then the territory thing started kicking in. It was like, and our newest started like going into places where Friday, our oldest, didn't appreciate. So then these little squabbles started happening. So really what it was is understanding, like Jay said, feline behaviorists have such a gift for looking at an individual circumstance, that environment, one story, two story, how many cats you have, resources, all of that, and really being able to kind of pinpoint maybe some trigger points that we are just kind of blind to because we're so in it and we think we're checking all the boxes. So it really is helpful to consult someone that can kind of, go through that checklist and be like, oh, well, hey, where are those litter boxes? Mm-hmm. Did you know that this could be really helpful? Is that, you know what I mean? So it really has been, illuminating. Our motto is learn, share, and grow. And Annie, our newest, is definitely helping us to learn. She's more. She's a big teacher. That's for sure. Yes. But I will say one of the tips that the behaviorist gave us that I think has been really helpful is pinpointing when our older girl Friday was going after Annie, and we broke it down and figured out that a lot of the time it was when she was hangry because they get fed specific meals throughout the day. And when she either didn't get what she wanted for her meal and refused it, or was just hungry because it was that fasting period in between, then that's when she was more apt to go after and try to fight. So we ended up going into 5 meals per day, smaller meals 5 times per day versus their 2 with an afternoon snack. To be clear, 3 of those meals are in an automatic feeder. Yeah. So they get little freeze-dried treats and then they still get their raw meals twice a day. But it really did help. Yeah. And I think,
that's so interesting.
Yeah. Isn't it?
So you have had cats for quite a while. How many cats did you have when this started happening, when you were introducing Annie?
We had 4 and then we introduced Annie. So now we're at 5.
Right. So you had made it through the introduction process, and I think you guys you put her in a separate room at first so they could just smell. And then you had this really cool like screen looking thing that you put across the door so they could smell and see, but not actually physically touch each other. So you made it through all of that. Everybody was getting along okay. It was when everybody was free range. Oh, you had all 5 cats in your house. That was when you had the older female started attacking the younger female.
It was actually like a month or two after they had all gotten, like, they were all free roaming together in the house. And they, maybe something happened. Maybe there was a tiff, or maybe it was just like, wait a second, you're getting too much attention, or I'm hungry and you're the weakest, so I'm going after you.
Right.
You know, but it's so important. And another thing that, you know, we were never good with, and we talk to our followers, we say it all the time, that when it comes to mental enrichment, confidence building sessions is so important when it, you know, especially when you have a new kitty in the house, but all the time. But if you have a new kitty in the house, a lot of times, especially if they're a kitten, the other cats get a little overlooked because this new cat needs, you know, extra special attention. And so we don't necessarily give extra effort to give more, you know, to go to our resident cats. And so another thing that really helped was, you know, me spending time every morning in a play session, in a one-on-one play session with Friday, who was the, you know, aggressor, if you will, the aggressive one, because she needed that special whenever, and still to this day, actually, I have to acknowledge her first when I get up in the morning, or we're at risk for some tiffs and fights.
Interesting. Yeah. So if you don't give her the attention, she will take that out on the other cats.
Correct. Yes.
And it is interesting because when we talk about behavior, whether it's cat, dog, any animal, there are really a few possible reasons why it's happening most of the time. It comes down to a lot of the resources that they have available. So fighting over food and toys, attention of loved ones, like territory, space. So I think you made a great point where you have to look at when it's happening and the animals that are involved to try to pick up on those clues as to what may be, at least if it's not the root cause, but what is contributing to the conflict. In your case, yes. Miss Friday, she wants to be number one in mommy's love and also get fed throughout the day. She doesn't want to be hangry. Yep. Was there anything else that you had to do for Miss Friday that you noticed that was really helpful for them getting along?
Well, to be very honest with you, we really had to look at ourselves, and we didn't realize this. If I want to get really deep here, we didn't realize this until January, where we decided, because the beautiful Rita Hogan came to our house and she challenged us to a dry January. And we're, you know, everybody that knows us knows we love cats and wine, like we
and cocktails,
and cocktails, you know. And so, you know, we drank steadily. I mean, pretty regularly, right? It was, you know, kind of our calm down every evening. And we didn't realize until January how much that was contributing to our inner stress. We had just lived at this, you know, stress level of like, oh, we handle it just fine. We do everything that, you know, needs to be done. It's
just fine
we thought we did it
right.
Right.
But
surviving.
Yeah. But then when January came, all of a sudden we were like, these things that would be super, super stressful for us are not actually, they're not feeling that stressful. Right. And this is very interesting. And our cats, especially Friday, really picked up on our energy and how much calmer it was. And all of a sudden we started seeing the Friday and Annie laying together. We started seeing them
nearby, not like snuggled,
but like, you know, on the same cat tree, and, you know, like things like that, whereas we didn't really realize how much our energy affected. We knew it, but we didn't know that our energy needed checking.
I mean,
I guess
that was just specific. You know, the alcohol that we would drink to decompress and de-stress at night actually contributed to more anxiety
the next day.
And so eliminating that, you know, that could be something completely different for someone else if they were to evaluate. But,
what time you eat, or what you eat before you go to bed, or whatever it is, you know.
But
for us, it was the alcohol, and it was very interesting to pick up on how that also affects our cats.
And specifically for Friday, and this goes for any, you know, multi-cat household, I think it also helped us better focus on individual personalities, because Friday has always been such a crazy hunter. She is like, wow, she is stealth panther all the time. And I think different energy levels, you know, Pam Bennett Johnson, amazing behaviorist, Dr. Marcy Koski, who we worked with, she talks about that predatory energy that cats have. Some cats are great at social play, and they run off a lot of that energy by playing with each other. Others prefer that like solitary hunter kind of vibe. And that's definitely Friday. So if she didn't have something, that's why those confidence building sessions, that attention were so important, because it would help run off some of that drive in her. So she did not take it out on her little sister.
Yeah. Well, and you think about the indoor cats too, right? And when we're talking about mental enrichment, our cats are stuck within our four walls and they're, confined, whereas, they're not domesticated. They're, according to DNA, 95.6% tiger, right? So they need to run, they need to play, they need to hunt, they need to do all the things that they would do if they were outside in the wild, in our homes. And we have to assist in that. And hunting is one of those things. And that's why the wand toy is such a great enrichment toy for our kitties, and vertical space so that they can climb like they would trees in the wild. There's so many things that we need to offer, and engage with our indoor cats to help their mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is one of the key takeaways that I want everybody to walk away with today. If you have an indoor cat, that enrichment is really important, because if you watch a cat, like a feral, a barn cat, we have barn cats that just showed up and literally had kittens in Judy's hands. And so they've been really fun to watch because they are very friendly, because they were raised with people, but their mom was a feral cat and they have had tons of time outside. And the inside of Judy's house still has teeth and claw marks from when they were kittens. And it was too cold to send them outside, because they're like little wild cats living in her house. And it will never be the same. But seeing them outside, they spend so much time being active, playing with each other, climbing, hunting, just roaming. The amount of space, we have a 20-acre farm, and they will roam almost the entire farm, versus if you compare that to an apartment, they probably take, steps to get to the food bowl and to the litter box. That's about it. So getting that exercise, that enrichment, just the sensory of being outside and hearing the birds or stalking prey, those are all things that are not inherently possible inside an apartment or a home unless you take the time to get like a wand toy or some type of engagement tool to help with pets.
Engagement is the key, though, because I think, we're talking a lot about Friday and Annie. Friday loves the wand toy. She loves to jump and she loves that. It's the bird.
She catches it and she starts growling.
Yeah, right. Like
I love that.
In contrast, the way that Annie engages is by bringing us her little toy mouse, and she'll drop it and we hear her drop it. She's like, I'm ready to play. 5 o'clock in the morning. Right. But that's how she wants to play. And she loves it. The wherever we can throw it, that's harder for her to get. That's what she loves. And she starts making these chirping noises and she gets to hunt it that way. And then she brings it back to us. So I think one of the biggest takeaways, I hope, for me, over these past few years has been realizing how much engagement actually equals enrichment, because it's not just about getting our cats a bunch of toys like, oh, this and that. It's literally about that time that you spend with them, really exercising their instincts. And it does mean, especially in multi-cat households, paying attention to what makes each individual cat tick. It's going to be different for, this is Zorro. It's going to be different for each cat, and I think that's such an exciting thing to explore, and it really enriches the bond as well as their lives.
Yeah. Like for instance, Zorro here, he's our little puppy cat. And he's the one that he's like right next to our feet all the time. He's like, I want attention. I want to go outside. I want to play. I want to he's got the energy of a puppy. And he's the one, we call him our adventure cat, because he's the one thing that will make him the happiest is putting him on a harness and leash and taking him outside and letting him explore bugs, birds, anything. He does not care. He just wants to be outside and exploring. And that is another option for many of us. And it's easier if you can train them when they're young. But they can be trained at any point. But if you live in any area where you can take your cat for a walk, even if you live in an apartment complex and you can just take them for a walk in the hallway, or up and down the stairs or something like that, or out into a small, even in the little areas that they have for like the puppy pads and stuff, like that.
Lots of stuff to smell there.
Yeah. But it's really enriching for our cats to be able to go outside if at all possible, but under supervision, especially if you live in like a busy, we live in Las Vegas. So
yeah, we really only explore in our backyard with Zorro. There's no 20 acres out there for him. So it's, whatever.
I get that. Yeah. Well, I mean, even when I lived in an apartment, I had 2 cats when I lived in an apartment. And I think one thing that you mentioned that's very important is if you do want to take your cat outside, use a harness, not a collar. A collar is not a good idea with a cat. But harnesses, they usually have them at most local pet stores that you can size to your cat. And so when I was in an apartment, that's exactly what I did. I got a little harness for him and a long lead, and all I had was a balcony. But he loved just sitting out on the balcony with me because I was on the first floor. So there were some bushes there that he could rub up against, all the bugs and just the sights, the smell. He could lay in the sun, which sunlight is really wonderful for our cats. We don't think about that very often. Yeah. Just the fresh air of being outside, it can be really impactful, and it makes them happy, which we're not just talking about their happiness like it's an optional thing. It has real health consequences if we don't do these things for our cats, whether they're not getting along with each other, or like stress-induced cystitis is one of the most common urinary issues with cats, and exactly what it sounds like. It is literally stress-induced. It's not a bacteria or a virus that's causing that issue. It's literally just stress. And we see it so frequently in indoor cats because so many people don't stop to take the time to actually engage and put a little bit of effort into some of the things that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So if people don't have the opportunity to really take them outside other than on a leash, were there other specific things, any forms of engagement that you found are really helpful for indoor cats?
Yeah, there are so many options these days. One of the things, we recently built a bird feeder outside of our in our yard, and
Nice.
feed the birds every day. And the cats absolutely love. We open the windows, they're getting the fresh air, and they get to just watch the birds. They don't get to attack them or eat them, but they get to watch them, and you can just see that mental stimulation happening. Even if you just were able to put like a hummingbird feeder outside of your window for your cats to be able to, they call that cat TV, right? Just literally putting a bird feeder outside your window where the cats can really enjoy that mental stimulation. Indoor vertical space. Is that what you were about to say?
Well, no, vertical space for sure. But I was going to say, like, those little suction cup bird feeders are great. Oh, yeah. But word of warning that we learned the hard way is because open windows are so exciting for our cats. They love them. But doing a screen check, you guys, to make sure your screens are sturdy. We had a cat, this one. We had this guy fall out of the window because he jumped.
On the second story.
And the screen fell out. So always do a little screen check. But other things for like indoor, definitely the vertical space, cat trees, cat shelves, places that they can climb, walkways that, are up high where they can just kind of sit and peruse their surroundings. Tunnels are really exciting. I learned this from reading Pam Bennett Johnson's book. I know our cats like tunnels, but if you've got a cat that's having even an issue with resources, putting a tunnel from their safe space to like their litter box so they don't feel exposed when they're trying to get to the litter box or to their food. Really awesome. And then novelty. So we get our cats toys all the time. It looks like we have toddlers living with us, but every now and then picking up those toys and putting them away so that you can bring out an old toy or a new toy and make that new to them again.
It's new to them.
And it's very exciting, but kind of putting the toys on rotation is also something that's helpful.
Yeah, that's a great tip. And I absolutely love your videos when your cats get the zoomies, because you have the ledges that they can go up like on your banister and along the walls, and they're just just getting up and down 2 stories in about 2 seconds, just zooming around. I love that.
They love
it. It's great for them. They love it.
Gives us a heart attack every now and then, but they have a lot of fun.
I bet. Yeah. And I think it is really important to cater to the individual personality and needs of each cat, because a kitten is definitely going to have different engagement needs than a senior cat. And I know you guys have kind of dealt with both. So maybe let's start with kittens. If somebody is going to rescue a new kitten, what are some things that they could do for engagement? Do you have any suggestions for how often throughout the day they should be engaging with their kitten? Maybe desensitizing them to a harness is a great idea.
Yeah.
But do you have any other tips specifically for people that have kittens and young cats?
Yeah, well, it's kitten season, right? So there's going to be a lot of people that are, rescuing kittens off the side of the road. Or
kitten energy is a whole different ball of wax. Yeah. I think that for us, if you can, all of this is really dependent on your schedule, and routine is so important to start building young too, because that really reduces stress. Knowing when their litter box is going to be scooped, when their meals are coming, when their playtime is coming, those kinds of things can really help create a great sense of calm and also anticipation, right? Like it can be very healthy and happyful for them. But playtime with kittens, try to
so
at least twice
fun.
a day. I mean, I think that goes for all cats. Twice a day.
But kittens are gonna, you're gonna need with young kittens, you're gonna need to provide these things that we were talking about, right? Like the vertical space and the different toys and the wand toys and the engagement. There's going to be certain times that you are not able to engage with a kitten unless you are a full-time just cat mom, and you don't have anything else going on in your life, because
that's the dream. That is the dream.
Right. That would be a dream. But our kittens need to be able to, and they do, right? They're so active. They're so, they can run out a lot of energy on their own.
Yeah.
One
like
of the
those
things,
little ball tracks.
Yeah. Or the one fast cat wheel. We have 2 of them now. And the kittens learned young how to run on that wheel. It's like a hamster wheel that
it's big enough for cats.
That's big enough for cats.
Yeah.
So they run on it. They love that. But ways for kittens to be able to get out their energy is super important. We don't want them to learn really young that it's just time to lay around. We want to, keep them going as much as possible, versus, they could, how old were Friday and Zoro? They were 3 when we got Jack and Madison, and we had senior cats in the house, and they were our kittens, and we were really busy, and they started sleeping like the seniors were a lot more throughout the day. And I was like, no, man, guys, you are only 3. You need to keep going. And so we had to make that effort to really start engaging. That's when we started training them outside on the leash and things like that to
get their energy up. You don't want the most exciting part of your cat's day to be jumping down from the couch to go grab something to eat.
Yeah.
Right. That's definitely not the natural way of a cat. I mean, the really interesting thing of having these half feral barn cats is seeing them constantly problem solving. And that is a part of nature, whether it's hunting or another cat comes by. My cat, I'm Judy's neighbor, so my cat Edward, who I have tattooed on me. I got him off of Craigslist as a rescue. Somebody was giving away a cat, and I got him when he was 5 weeks old, the cutest little baby. I had a senior cat in the home. He immediately started wanting to torment my senior cat by trying to make him play and wrestle and things that he just absolutely did not want to do. And now that we live next to the farm, he still, as a grown adult cat, he's probably 7 now, 7 or 8. He loves to walk down to the barn and try to just touch the barn cats. And they don't want to be touched by him because they're all related to each other. They're brothers and sisters, and he's an outsider, and and he tries so hard to become part of their clouder when he has no desire to hunt or to kill things. And I've given him like little rabbit feet and rabbit rolls, and he just looks at them like, why would you put a dead body next to me? And we had a stray cat that was leaving him dead little creatures to try to be friends with him, and he was disgusted by that. And so I feel like it is really important, like we were talking about, when you have a kitten and a senior, or you have kind of cats that come from two different backgrounds, how they don't maybe necessarily know right off the bat how to just get along with each other and make each other happy. It could be the opposite, where you have a kitten that just won't leave your senior cat alone, and then your senior cat is very stressed out and really unhappy with you. So in that scenario, or just in general, do you have different suggestions when it comes to the really high energy kittens versus just your average adult cat versus a senior cat?
With kittens, I think one of the interesting things to watch them explore is what kind of space they like. I know Dr. Becker talks about, you've got the bush dwellers. Dr. Katie Woodley calls them the bush cats. And then they're bushes. And then you've got the other ones that are like high up in a tree, up on a ledge, and they like being there, right? So trying to figure out that personality. When you do mesh a family, as we experienced, is really important to have those different spaces available for everybody, so that if you've got a crazy kitten that wants to just run and play and do all that stuff, that's fine. But there's also safe spaces, maybe up high, maybe down low, maybe a nice little tunnel somewhere, a little fort. Some of our babies love little forts, blanket forts, where they can go and just have their own space. And I think that's interesting to watch when cats do kind of do that shared territory thing, that they do kind of understand, oh, this is not when, one of our older cats wants to be bothered. We're just going to leave him alone right now. So again, it comes to that individual personality. But I think even with our senior cats, being considerate of, what is their mobility like? What is their energy level like? What are the resources that are so important to them? Are they where they're comfortably, available to them whenever they need them? Yeah. So really just kind of reevaluating the environment as our cats age, whether it's a litter box. That's one of the big things, right? Like, sometimes cats, they get like Oliver Twist. He was getting a little stiff in the hips. And so going up and down the stairs to get to an upstairs litter box that was his favorite, that maybe had a high lip, so he'd really have to try to get in there. It's like, you always got to kind of be reevaluating. So we make sure that his resources are downstairs, make sure that they have very low ledges so that he doesn't have to like jump over something to get into the litter box. And then being considerate too of what is the energy level of the other cats. I mean, for us, it was sometimes just deterring them with a play session, so that our older cats could be comfortable.
Yeah.
Right?
And relax. Yeah. But I think it is also important to get our senior cats, give our senior cats that mental enrichment as well. Cause they don't really ask for it. And when they start to get stiff, or they're just used to laying around because we haven't been engaging with them, then they just kind of get on this, hamster wheel of all I'm going to do is sleep all day. And a lot of people think that cats are just aloof and they sleep all day. Once, they hit those adult years, and it's not true. And we learned this the hard way, because we were like, one of our cats, we were like, he just doesn't want to play. And we would, we were trying to play with all of our cats together, and he would always just be like, oh, let me get away from this. This is just too overwhelming. But when we took him alone into a room, closed the door where no other cats were there, and we engaged with them, and a lot of, senior cats, especially if they have mobility issues, they will be the bush dwellers, right? They will be the ones that, you want to get like a worm or a bug, kind of something on the ground that they can chase, versus waving a wand, bird toy throughout the air where they have to jump for it. But they do really actually want to still hunt, and they still want to be engaged, and they still want to be stimulated even at that older age. We just have to take and make more effort with our senior cats that might be slowing down to get them engaged.
And if you already have like a little couch loaf, I think something that we did with Pooh Bear was he was pretty food motivated. He was a big guy. We would give him his meal and let him have a couple of bites, and then pick it up and move it a little ways, so that he would just be moving a little bit. So it's like baby steps, start wherever you're at, right? But then really kind of keeping a beat on what's something that is stimulating, mentally enriching to them, and trying to engage with that on a regular routine basis, whatever the age. It's so important to just keep a beat on what they find enriching, for, if you already have a little couch loaf and you're just realizing, man, they really need to keep moving, then maybe at mealtime you pick up their dish and move it a couple feet so that they have to keep moving, was just what we had to do with our Pooh Bear to really start getting him moving again, not just relaxing all the time. And then realizing that they're still cats. They have this incredible predatory instinct, even when they get older. So realizing what is mentally stimulating to them, what are they keeping an eye on, and trying to keep in touch with something that is really engaging and enriching to them, and doing that on a routine basis a couple times every day can really be an incredible game changer, especially for older cats, keeping them sharp and engaged.
And I'll say another thing that has been really helpful for young and seniors in our home are indoor hunting feeders. Now you can buy them, but it's, just as easy to make them at home.
Right.
But
toilet paper tubes.
Yeah, toilet paper tubes, whatever it is, like some kind of like it's almost like a treat puzzle, but it's hidden around the house. So, and they'll probably watch you if you get into the routine of doing this, they'll watch you as you hide it. So they have some kind of like, oh, okay, it's going to be over here in this area or that area, but then walk away and they will start to hunt throughout the house to find their little treats. And it's a great, we do it with freeze dried foods. You can put it in like a toilet paper roll, poke some holes in it. You could just do it, with wet food you can be creative with this, but hide little bits of food around the house for your cats to hunt. And that gives them that stimulation it gives them mental stimulation. It gives them physical stimulation, and enrichment. And the reward at the end is the food. So you can do this for people that, work 8, 10, 12 hours a day. This is a great thing that you can do before you leave for work to give your cat some mental stimulation and enrichment and exercise throughout the day while you're gone.
So I love that you're mentioning kind of two facets when we're thinking about this with cats, especially indoor cats, is one, the importance of exercise, so physically moving their body when we're doing something enriching, but also the mental health aspect where we're trying to get that kind of problem solving, hunting, prey drive, tapping into some of those instincts. And something that's actually, I think, very underrated when it comes to cats, I don't know if you've had any experience with it, but clicker training with cats can be very successful. And my senior cat, he ended up going deaf, so the clicker training part didn't work out, but I trained him to sign language with treats to do just basic little things. So he knew how to sit and give paw and sit up and just do cute little tricks that really served absolutely no purpose. But it's just a fun thing to do together. And as he aged, he had really severe degeneration in his spine and hips because he was neutered super young before I got him. And so something as simple as clicker training, you can do together with them, and you use those food rewards or toy rewards, whatever they're really motivated by. But that's a wonderful way you can work in some exercise and some mental enrichment. I don't know if you've ever tried clicker training with your cats.
Yeah, absolutely. We haven't been super successful because we haven't been super consistent for the clicker training. However, we do it in other ways. We have trained our cats, not all of them, but this is a great point because most people don't realize that cats can be trained just like dogs. You can, and it does offer mental enrichment for them, and that one-on-one bond, it builds that bond. We know we have friends that have a cat that they take literally everywhere they go, and they travel. They have a Netflix documentary about
Surfer Cat
Mav. And he will surf. Like he's a really cool cat that is trained. And so he has all of that mental enrichment that, we sit back and we're like, oh man, I wish our cats had that kind of mental enrichment on a regular basis, but yeah, we can absolutely train our cats.
A little piggyback on that is Surfer Cat, great content that they put out. And really, especially when it comes to harness training, we actually have their harnesses. So Surfer Cat, I think it's just surfercat.com.
Awesome.
great harnesses, really like low profile, awesome. But also a great reminder, like what you're saying about clicker training, or so much of what our cats do when you think about that prey sequence. And again, to bring up Pam Bennett Johnson, she talks about how like basically 90% of that prey sequence is the stalking, is that mental enrichment, is them watching the movements and very carefully making the approach to make that attack. And we see that with Annie, with the little mouse toys. It is, you can throw that toy and it may take her 10 minutes to actually get it and in her mouth and figure out how to get back down. But I think so often we think of playing with our cats as running around and chasing the wand toy and doing this, when so much of that mental enrichment really comes in that engaged, watching how they're watching something and letting them really kind of figure things out. Clicker training is so mentally engaging for them to realize that that's, they're learning something, and it's not just running around or running on a wheel or running up vertical space. It's something where you can see their brains are working much as they do like in a hunt. So it's a great reminder for all of us that just because, just to spend a little more time letting them go through such a huge part of that prey sequence of really, like you said earlier, problem solving.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not just, about the exercise portion or what they can see. We have to remember that they have very strong sense of smell, and they love to touch things and roll on things and mark their scent on things. So even with my cat Edward, he gets to go outside a little bit now, but I've started a habit of when I go places and I see like little duck feathers or bird feathers, I'll collect them because they all have kind of slightly different wild scents. And he loves them, and I bring them home as little souvenirs, and he loves to roll around on them and chew on them and stuff. And so even if you have some like leaves or like a rabbit foot treat or anything like that, even if your cat doesn't necessarily want to eat it or it doesn't look like prey, but it might just have some wonderful new scents that they can explore. Right. And it's all just about giving them options. Our cats are very good at self-selecting things that jive well with them or do not. And so just putting that little bit of thought into your cat, literally if you're just on a walk somewhere and you see a feather, be like, my cat might like this, or a little tuft of hair. At least that's what I do.
That is a great reminder. That's so funny because we feed the birds outside. There's feathers all over the yard, and I have yet to have even thought about picking up these feathers and bringing them in for our cats. So
to explore.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And so Edward does not hunt. He's not into hunting, but he does really love feathers. And so whenever I find and I got a goose feather the other day, and whenever I find them, he absolutely loves it. He smells it and rolls on it and starts hyper salivating. Like he really, really loves it. So I hope your cats like it too.
Oh, yay. Totally and we have ducks and geese, and we walk every morning by the lake with the ducks and geese, and we can totally do that. We are going to do that. Yeah, great idea. Yeah.
If nothing else, I have that one little tidbit of thinking of my cats when I'm going all these exciting places.
That is so awesome.
Okay, so as we wrap up here, you guys gave us so many amazing tips for indoor cats and how to improve their lives. And I think something that I would really love to leave people with is that it's absolutely never too late to start. Whether you have a kitten, whether you have a senior cat, there are so many little things that you can start integrating into your daily routine that will make a huge impact. So even if you just take one little tip from today and you can start doing it consistently, you will start to see the benefits of it. And yeah, as a reminder for people, we're talking about mental health this month, but it also has physical health ramifications. It's all connected. And so for our indoor cats, especially, they're really sensitive little guys, and they deserve to get a lot of love and engagement from us. We owe it to them.
Agreed.
Well said.
Is there anything else that we missed that you think we should include for our indoor kitty cats?
I don't know, to kind of tie it back to the beginning, talking about how Jay has to acknowledge her first thing in the morning. And that really does kind of set an energy tone. I think, when we think about our cats' resources, yes, we want to make sure they have fresh and clean water every day, that their food bowls are clean, that, you know, their litter is accessible, that there's plenty of litter boxes, all of those little logistical things. But, you know, for anyone who's feeling maybe even a little overwhelmed, if they're in a small apartment and they don't have a lot of space to do all these things, really remember that your love is such a valuable resource. Yeah. So it really is about connecting, understanding each other's personalities, building that bond, living your best lives together. And I think that's always where, you know, if there's nothing else you can do, just exploring each other a little bit more is also very enriching. So just start wherever you can start and enjoy living your life with these beautiful beings. It's just such a gift.
Yeah. Love definitely is above all things, the best for our cats. But for me, I would say going back to that exercise piece, getting your cats moving. I mean, it is the least expensive, and most successful way to reduce stress in ourselves and our cats is exercising. So, you know, the exercising is mental enrichment because it's a stress reducer. So if we can, you know, just remember to, in whatever ways we can, get our cats moving, and engaged.
Jack is demonstrating. He just crawled up the ladder. It's going up there. Yeah.
I love that. I can hear his happy little sounds in the background.
Yeah.
Right on cue.
Thanks, Jack. He read the script. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. Well done.
Well, thank you very much, Jay and Adrian of the Two Crazy Cat Ladies. You guys always have amazing insights for our kitty cats. I know today was a really important topic that is plaguing almost all indoor cats. So I really hope that this reaches all the people that it needs to, and everybody feels inspired to give their kitty cats the vibrant lives they deserve. So thank you guys so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Gwen.